Hello, I am Harriet Tubman. I'm going to tell you the story of my life. My father's name was Ben Ross, and my mother's name was Harriet Ross, but people called her Old Rip. They were both slaves. They had 9 children. All of their children were slaves. My birth was not recorded, but it was around 1820 or 1821. I was born in Maryland, and my original name was Araminta Ross. My nickname was Minty. I lived in a big plantation owned by Mr. Brodus. I got sold out multiple times. Being sold out meant that a slave owner rented a slave out to someone who couldn't afford to have a slave. One day, a young slave slipped away. I followed him. The overseer of the slaves followed us. I locked the door so that the young slave could escape. The overseer aimed a 2-pound weight at the runaway. It hit me in the forehead. I fell. My forehead was bleeding. No one thought I would survive. But luckily, my mother nursed me back to health. It left a scar on my forehead. I went by my mother's name from now on, Harriet. I had headaches, sleeping spells, and seizures. I heard rumors that I might be sold farther south. My owner, Mr. Brodus, died. I got a new owner, Dr. Anthony Thompson. I got jobs and I got to keep some of the money. My dad showed me ways to escape. The North Star was our guide. I met a man named John Tubman. We fell in love and got married. He was a free man, and I wanted to go north to freedom, but he said it was too dangerous. I had dreams of freedom, but no one would go with me. I would have to go alone. John said that he would report me to my master if I tried to escape. I began to fear John. I met a Quaker. A Quaker is someone in a Christian religious group that is against slavery. I heard that me and some of my brothers might be sold soon. I made plans. My brothers didn't go through with the plans, though. I had to go alone. I went to the Quaker's home. They told me where to go and gave me new clothes and food. I was a traveler on the Underground Railroad. Does anyone know what the Underground Railroad is? Yes?
It was a network of homes where slaves who wanted to escape to freedom could find food, a place to hide, a place to rest.
Yes, the Underground Railroad is a series of homes on the way to freedom. Runaways could get food and or supplies. My master was looking for me. Slave hunters were everywhere. I traveled at night and I hid in the day. I dressed up as different people. Finally, I reached Pennsylvania. I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person now that I was free. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came like gold through the trees and over the fields. I felt like I was in heaven. I got a job in a hotel. All the money was mine. It was easy compared to being a slave. I was free, but there was no one to welcome me to the land of freedom. I was a stranger in a strange land. I decided to go back to Maryland to rescue my sister Mary and her family. I made a plan. I got the plan to John Boley, who was Mary's husband. It was my first time being a conductor on the Underground Railroad. I had bought a pistol to defend myself. I got them to freedom safely. I had to go back to get more relatives who needed saving. I planned to go back to save them. But then the Fugitive Slave Law passed. It meant that runaway slaves who reached the free states had to be sent back to their owners. If people didn't turn in the runaways, they could be fined or put in jail. If I wanted my passengers to be safe, I would have to bring them farther than New York or Philadelphia. I had to start bringing passengers to Canada. Slave hunters got rewards for finding the runaways. They were determined to get those rewards, but so was I. I had a larger risk of discovery. I went back many times to get my family. Before, I was just freeing my family, but then I started freeing anyone who wanted to be free, not just my family. I set up a routine, which I continued for over 8 years. In the winter, I rented a house in St. Catharines, Canada. Other colored people lived there too. In the spring and summer, I lived in Cape Manning, New Jersey, or Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I earned money by working in hotels. In the spring and fall, I went back to Maryland twice to rescue people. I taught other slaves how to escape. I had lots of experience on the Underground Railroad by now. For example, I never traveled the same route twice. When escaping, men dress like women and vice versa. We always escaped on a Saturday because Sunday was not a work day. We wouldn't be found until Monday, and by then we would be long gone. $40,000 was being offered in reward money for my capture. I rescued my parents when I heard that my father was in trouble with his master. I built them a wagon and found a horse. Now we could ride to Canada. I had several different jobs to support my parents. I started giving speeches to make extra money. I was shy at first, but I was a good storyteller. I had to travel to tell my stories. People like to hear about my narrow escapes. My friends convinced me to stop being a conductor on the Underground Railroad. People wanted me dead. It was too dangerous. I would have to find another way to fight for freedom. In 1861, the Civil War broke out between the northern and southern states. Colored men were allowed to fight, but they were not yet free. They were fighting for their freedom. The South formed the Confederate States of America. The North went to war with the South to make the Confederate States rejoin the Union States, which was the Northern States. I was asked to join the Union Army. I said yes. I went to Port Royal Island off the coast of South Carolina. Union soldiers were stationed there. I became a nurse at Port Royal. Some colored patients were wounded from masters trying to catch them while they were escaping. Some patients had dysentery. Dysentery is a disease that affects the stomach. I found a cure for dysentery. I saved lives. The war continued into 1862 and longer. For a while, it looked as though the Confederate States would win. Colonel James Montgomery asked me to be a spy for his all-black military regiment. I said yes. I was a small black woman, so I could sneak behind enemy lines without being noticed. I looked harmless. Does anyone know what the Emancipation Proclamation is? Yes?
That must have been the executive order that freed the slaves and made slavery illegal.
Yes. The Emancipation Proclamation was ordered in 1863. It freed all colored people in the northern states. It was ordered by President Abraham Lincoln. I led the Combahee River invasion. Me and my men burned the big plantation houses. Slaves working saw me and joined me. In 1864, I went home to rest for a year. I returned in 1865. I became the head nurse. Then, the Union won the Civil War and rejoined the USA. I went back to Auburn, New York to help care for my parents. I cared for other colored people too. We all face the same problems. I created a home where colored people could live for free. We needed the money to support the people. In 1869, Sarah Bradford published Scenes in the Life of Harriet Tubman. All of the money went to me so I could care for others. I met a man named Nelson Davis when he was fighting for the Union. He was much younger than me. My first husband, John Tubman, was shot in the southern states and died. Nelson was a bricklayer. We adopted a daughter named Gertie. In 1889, Harriet Tubman, The Moses of Her People, was published by Sarah Bradford. All of the money went to me. In 1888, my husband, Nelson Davis, died. My parents had died a few years before. There was never enough money. I had a garden. I sold fruit and vegetables door to door. I gave speeches. I even gave speeches with Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Canton. I bought a house across the street to care for more people. Famous people visited me and wrote letters. Queen Victoria even sent me a medal, a black silk shawl, and a letter. Eventually, I gave my house to the AME Zionist Church. I lived there and the church paid the bills. The church charged people $100 to live there. I wanted anyone to be able to live there for free. I died in 1913. I was in my 90s. I died of pneumonia. I had a big funeral. Many memorials were made after my death. And this year, Joe Biden has promised to speed up the making of the $20 bills with me on them. Does anyone have any questions? Yes?
Do you know what day was your birthday?
No.
If they didn't keep a record of slave births.
Yes.
Was Maryland a southern state
Yes.
in the, it was? Okay.
right on the border there.
My question is, I was shocked that the Emancipation
Emancipation.
the Emancipation Proclamation was only freed slaves in the North. So does that mean there was slavery in the North mostly?
No,
before
it
then?
freed slaves in the South.
Oh, okay.
Well, it freed them everywhere, but the South ignored it.
I see.
Now, I have one question too. Oh, excuse me, I didn't see your hand up.
I didn't see yours up either.
Go ahead.
Did you have any children?
I did adopt one daughter named Gertie, and it is rumored that I had a daughter with my first husband, and I like left her in Maryland, and then I went back to like get her once he died, or like I took her from like another family member, and she was like happy, and people don't know why I did that.
What,
She
so,
raised another child.
Yeah.
Yes, I raised 2 children.
Mhm.
Yes,
so was John Tubman white?
no, but he was.
But he was a free black
When
man.
he was a child, his parents owner died, and so then he was free.
They just set him free.
Yeah.
And but he was gonna tell on her if she escaped. What was up with that?
He didn't really want her to escape.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you told me that Harriet Tubman is the only woman ever awarded a medal as a spy for the American government.
Huh.
Isn't that what you told me?
I do not know.
That would be cool. Sounds like Papa just made that up.
No, she told me.
Maybe you
Well,
looked
she
it
and
up.
I read about that battle that she was very instrumental in. It was quite an
Stu
exciting.
Montgomery.
I have a question.
Mhm.
In all the pictures I've seen of you, you seem very serious.
Mhm.
Did you have a side of you that was jovial and laughed a lot and smiled?
Well, a lot of the time I was like serious because I was really like serious, and it was really important to me to free slaves, and like
We're focused on doing the thing
Yeah.
you need to do.
so like I was really determined to do that, and like I never left a passenger behind. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? You had a,
Opal's got
her hand
up for a while.
Opal was first.
Mhm.
Did you have any pets?
No, I didn't have any pets.
That we know of.
did you have any what?
Pets.
Oh,
Did your
Yeah.
grandma did there? She started talking out of turn, and then she went and just kept talking.
Did you have another question too?
no, I can't remember.
Yes.
How did you get your disguises? If you didn't have any money.
I had money because I would work most of the year, and also when like I was originally escaping and stuff, the Quakers at the homes, they would like take like they would like you would like give them the clothes you had, and then they would like give you new clothes so that you could like be different disguised. So like, if they were on your trail, then you like I would dress up as like maybe like a man in like a suit, and like I would have to hide my scar because people knew about my scar. So like sometimes I would wear like a hat like this over my scar, or like a woman with like a veil or like a bandana because I needed to hide it so people wouldn't recognize me for it.
And then, in addition to your hotel work, when you got well known, you got paid for speeches.
Mhm.
And then, of course, you got the royalties from the book or books about you.
Mhm.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
Well, I had 8.
Wow. And where did you range among the 8? Were you the oldest?
Well, we don't exactly know because none of our birthdays were recorded, but I was like around the younger children. Yes.
Wait. When did you start being a slave?
I was a slave from birth. I started working though when I was around like 6, 5 or 6.
Wow.
know, they didn't care if slaves got educated, as long as they worked, that was the whole deal.
Yes.
Do you think children under 13 should be allowed to watch the PG-13 movie that was made about you?
Well, it has a lot of details, and it's like educational, and like it's like mostly the truth. It definitely is scary, and like it's important for people to know about like slavery and stuff, and the movie like describes it well, but it is definitely scary.
Are you glad you watched it?
Did
Yes.
you see the whole thing?
I am glad I watched it because it was like very educational.
But she's Harriet Tubman right now, so she didn't have the technology. But I guess she time traveled here to give the speech. So.
Fist bump me for that one. Nice continuity.
Yes.
Do you know what the Harriet Tubman movie really exampled, like meant about your life?
It kind of like showed what I did and like talked about like slavery and stuff, and like showed a lot of examples of that. And like since it was like a film instead of just pictures, like they like you could like see like the things that they did to the slaves and stuff. Yes.
And is it true that like one of your masters, you tried to get a little of sugar and then they slapped you with a whip?
Yes, once when I was a soldier, I reached for sugar, and my mistress's back was turned, and I hadn't like ever had any sugar or anything because slaves were rarely given sugar. And she saw me or heard me, and then she whipped me. Yes, I got whipped often.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.